This week on Fast Track, we went to the latest Women of the White House lecture series featuring U.S. Ambassador Carmen Lomelin. We also have details on the long-term effects of concussions in athletics and an in-depth look at the technology in the new Purdue airplanes. We have all this and much more coming up next on Fast Track.
Media violence is highly prevalent during this time of year, but what are the long-term effects of consuming this kind of content? Fast Track's Amber Lefevre went searching for an answer.
People live in a world surrounded by the media. It's everywhere. From a young age, children are exposed to violence in the seemingly innocent cartoons they watch. As a person matures, so does the content they view. Hollywood makes violent films for a reason. The general public has a large diet of violent exposure every day. But what kind of effects does this viewing have on daily life? I caught up with Purdue communication professor Glenn Sparks, who has some insight into the probable consequences of violent viewing.
So one of the general effects, I think, that happens is emotional desensitization. That is a fairly serious effect because it may mean that people desensitize to violence, realistic portrayals of violence in the media, such that they may not respond the same way they would have had they not seen all that violence when they encounter violence in real life. And so there's some indication in the research that people, they just have a deadened sensitivity to violence when it occurs in real life. They're not as apt to respond, they're not as apt to seek help, they don't have the same emotional reaction to it as they would have if they hadn't seen violence in media entertainment.
It seems the natural instinct with media violence is to desensitize oneself. However, there are dangers with that as well. Exposure to media content will have an effect on you. What you choose to do with those effects is up to you. For Fast Track, I'm Amber Lefevre. In the second series of lectures that features women who've made their mark on Washington, U.S. Ambassador Carmen Lomelin spoke with Purdue alumna on a series of topics, including her family, her experiences in politics, and women's rights. Tony Manzo has more.
On Thursday, October 21st, distant cousins Carolyn Curiel and Carmen Lomelin were in the spotlight of the Women of the White House lecture series. Curiel, former press secretary to President Bill Clinton, interviewed her cousin by marriage, Lomelin, who is the permanent representative in the Organization of American States. Growing up in East Chicago, Indiana, Lomelin talked about her family and how the steel mills around the northwest Indiana area were almost a way of life for her entire family.
I always tell young people, I wasn't a trust fund baby. I didn't even know what was a trust fund until I got into college. So everything that we had, we all had to work very hard for, and I think that's something that keeps going. I mean, there are no assumptions. I never take it for granted, we never take it for granted that it's going to be given to us. We have to work for it, and I think that has really helped all of us.
Lomelin also talked about how her experiences doing campaign work helped her learn necessary skills for the future.
And working in campaigns where you have a zillion things going on at the same time, you learn to, in your head, to organize yourself, to prioritize, to categorize, and to multitask. Fortunately, women do that very well.
One of Lomelin's biggest points in her question and answer session was that public service and finding what you love to do go hand in hand in today's world.
First of all, follow your passion. What is it that excites you? What makes you want to get up in the morning and then I can guarantee that you can find that particular passion in public service. I personally feel, and something I shared this morning earlier with Bryce, wherever he is, that I think that service to others is the highest calling.
For Fast Track News, I'm Tony Manzo.
A New York man was charged with planning to kill former President George W. Bush. Kara Oko has more in this week's political update.
According to federal authorities, a suburban New York man has been arrested and charged with planning to kill former President George W. Bush. The suspect, 23-year-old Ian Rotuno of Greece, New York, told service agents he was intent on killing the former president. He had planned to go to Washington or Texas to carry out that mission. After loading his truck with assorted weapons, Rotuno turned himself in to Oswego, New York police on October 7th. Rotuno was charged Tuesday in federal court in Buffalo with knowingly threatening to kill, kidnap, or inflict bodily harm upon a former president of the United States. If convicted, he can receive up to 10 years in prison. Rotuno will remain in federal custody pending a bail hearing set for November 15th. In global political news, France was threatened in an alleged bin Laden tape. A man purporting to be Osama bin Laden warned France to get its troops out of Afghanistan. The tape was broadcasted by the Al Jazeera Network Wednesday and included a warning not to oppress Muslims at home. The tape is audio only and the speaker does not appear. It has not been immediately confirmed that the speaker is actually Osama bin Laden, the head of al-Qaeda. France has nearly 4,000 troops in Afghanistan, according to NATO's International Security Assistance Force. That's all we have for you this week's Political Update. I'm Kara Oko.
When we come back, we'll take a look at the latest technology found in Purdue's new airplanes.
Also, one sport makes its debut in the Muggle world. All this coming up next. Stay tuned.
Need help with that essay or resume? Then head over to the Purdue Writing Lab. They can help you with everything from properly citing your sources to grammar and spelling. On Monday nights from 7 to 10, get help at Hicks Library. And on Wednesday nights at Meredith Hall from 7 to 10. Monday through Friday, you can visit Hevlon throughout the day. Remember, you can always get help 24/7 with just about anything you can put